What is up, guys? Lord Nick here, bringing you another One Piece related video. This video, guys, is the weekly Rebecca report. I didn't get one out earlier this week. Instead, we streamed on the normal day, and then it just got kind of postponed. I decided I was going to get it out now. So let's see. Let's go over the set list, guys, just to let you know the whole set list for OP10 is now out. There are some specific cards that I think are particularly interesting, that might have some viability to them, that just got released recently. And then if you want to check out other cards or you have questions about cards, feel free to join the Discord. We've been chatting about it pretty often. I myself, after this video, will probably not be talking about OP10 very much, just due to the fact that I really want to play with a lot of these cards, and I cannot wait to see what Rebecca looks like, but it's still almost 4 months away. So that being the case, I don't want to just kind of like hurt myself in terms of the fact that I'm going to be playing Rebecca for 4 months. So not being able to play her at peak performance, or like what would be peak Rebecca, is going to be frustrating. So, and if I keep comparing my current list to the cards that I'll get later, I'm just going to get annoyed, so I'm just going to avoid that. But in terms of interesting cards, we have Bartolomeo. We have a 5-drop 6K blocker, no counter. On play, put a character of 1 cost or less to the bottom of its owner's deck. So it's a very valuable bot decking, and this is basically the only bot decking we got, except for one that it's based off of an event that is based off of power, which is very contentious in the community. I myself am very much leaning towards it's not very good for us. But the reason it was put in our archetype was to prevent it from being insanely busted in something like Marco, but it's still going to be very good in Marco. So, yeah, this card is very powerful. Not very powerful. This card is fairly inauspicious. I would say, having the ability to bottom deck a card is going to be nice in archetype. But they went super safe with this because they didn't want us becoming the second Sakazuki, which I don't blame them. But, man, it kind of stinks that it feels like Dressrosa is probably going to be where they start balancing out black and blue a little bit. We are getting some pretty epic cards, don't get me wrong. I think some of the cards we are getting are very, very, very strong and very good in archetype. But, because of that, we are getting some worse things in other ways. So our blue side is significantly stronger than it was, but is still not all that amazing. We could go into a revolutionary army build to a small degree. We got this new hack. Look at the top 3 of your deck. Reveal up to 1 character with characteristic Rev Army and add it to your hand, then place the rest at the bottom in any order. So, mind you, this works with our stage. You could play a hack on 5, put a Dawn on him, swing 6 at something. Now, as he's clearing something, he then adds a Sabo, which could be 2K Sabo or 5-drop Sabo or a Koala if we go this build, into our hand. It's kind of cool, actually, honestly. And it enables us to potentially play 8-drop Sabo in the deck if we really wanted something like that. So there is some, oddly enough, interesting build lines because of the fact that we're getting a small Rev Army package. Is it good enough? Probably not. Like, this Koala is solid. You can return one of your characters with the Rev Army trait with that 3 cost or more to your owner's hand. This card gets plus 3K. So, like, you could use hack, swing with hack. Okay, I want to protect hack, so we're going to bounce hack, swing, play hack, do it again, right? Like, that's pretty that's pretty good. We could actually get some searching going. Is it good enough? Probably not. We also got some vanillas, which will be nice to have because, honestly, not having vanillas has been kind of weird. Not that it's, like, the avenue we want to go, but, like, having the option to have it is actually pretty epic. Because now there's the option of, do you want to have a no counter in the fact of Kyros because he can bounce something, or do you just want something that has the same power stat line but has the 1K counter, right? Like, there's an argument there. Is it a good argument? Maybe not, but, there's some argument there. And aside from that, I guess we should go over the event that I mentioned. It's, it's the Bari Bari pistol. Here it says Bam Bam Gun, which I think is hilarious. And also all the Bardo cards say Balto Club. Love these translations from Google. Thank you, Google. Place up to 1 of your opponent's characters with power 6K or less at the bottom of their deck. Trigger, activate the main effect. So on trigger, this is a very solid card. It's just out of life, get rid of 1 of your characters that could attack me. which is nice. Into the decks that we'd want to see this in, it really only gets rid of Sabos because of the fact that, like, in Black Yellow Luffy, you have Pumper Luffy, who will be 8k at the most times when you're trying to get rid of him. You have Rush Ace, which is like, oh, great, yeah, cool. And then you have, like, Rocket Luffy, who will usually be dead, and a possibly Thunderbolt Sabo. And it's like, okay, Thunderbolt Sabo might be like something solid to get rid of, but, like, you know, you probably KO them if they're playing that and not a 5-cost Sabo. So, like, it's just kind of a weird card. It's not necessarily going to be, like, insane or anything, but it's okay. I don't think it's going to be great for us. Marco's going to love this card, but it's in our archetype probably to prevent Marco from using it. Aside from that, most of the cards we've already kind of covered. The only one that kind of popped up on the black side that wasn't really covered that I think is interesting is 3-drop Brook. I think this replaces the current 3-drop Brook. Yes, the current one is stronger. He's a 4K swing. He is a body that your opponent has to respect and sometimes has to put resources into killing. And this one doesn't necessarily argue that as much. Like, he is just a free, you know, swing into it, kill it. But that's a pseudo blocker for us, and we'll take that. But he is also just adds cards from the top of your deck to your trash, which is solid. And he's an archetype, so we can search for him. And he's in black, and he's a 3-drop, so that means we can get him back. Yes, playing him off of Rebecca means he doesn't get to do his thing, but you could arguably play something else off the Rebecca and then play this and kill something. That's a okay play line by me. I mean, is it great? No, it's not like the best thing in the world, but it's not like horrible either. So I think him as a 2-of in the spot that the current Brook is could be a good option, and it could just be that is the value option. So people who do not currently have 3-cost Brook, you could look to this as a substitution for that. I will personally be testing this card out in that substitution just to see if I think the being able to trash 2 cards and being an early KO card to help scale us into the late game and fuel our trash so that we can play stuff on curve and start using their abilities, I think will be relatively valuable. And then otherwise, he's just a 1K counter. So, like, not the like biggest thing to write home about or anything, but it's a solid enough card. It might actually see play. Now, aside from that, guys, we're going to be kind of talking about what has been going on in terms of my locals, because I don't think I actually talked about it last week on the video, and then I missed this last video. So we actually have quite a few games to go over. If we tally up all of it together, I am currently sitting at, what was it? It was 7-3, 6-4, 3-3. So that puts us at 10-6, and then 16-10 overall record-wise, or 8-5. So pretty solid overall record. Using a list a bit different than this one, though. Now, note, the top end is roughly the same. I was at one point testing out 3 Luffys and another Kong gun. We've replaced those now with 2 Jacks. We were using Leos. I've replaced those with 2 Kobes. The reason we replaced the Kong gun and the Luffy with the Jacks, I felt there was too many times that I kept seeing double Kong gun in my hand. And I was just like, well, shit. Like, this is good, but it's also like, I don't want this. Like, this isn't what I'm playing for in the moment. And there was too many situations where I kept seeing multiple Luffys, which can be good, but also against a plethora of decks is just not a great option. So I was trying to find more early game threats to have on board, either characters I could put a Dawn on and make them a threat, or characters that on play do something useful. Again, I will apologize for this. My sinuses still haven't completely cleared up from being sick, so my apologies for blowing in. I just completely forgot that I'm still, like, anyhow. So the Kobe got moved in over the Leo because he gets bricks out of our hand, which was another big problem I was having, was I was starting to have, like, 6 bricks in hand, and so anything I drew that didn't have bricks, I had to question, do I play this? Do I not? And it was making it kind of difficult. So having Kobe to cycle some of the bricks so that we can keep using leader ability is super, super useful. He's also kills a 3K. So because we've taken out Patchwork, this becomes better with Suleiman, because now it's a 5 and under, which means that other decks we now have an option into. But on top of that, the Suleiman plus Houndblaze is just a really good combo to be dealing with stuff with Dofi. We also have Scarlet into Suleiman into anything else. is going to be there. So like early turns, we can play a Scarlet to set it up. They're not going to KO it on their first turn, so Scarlet gets to stay. They play a 4-drop, like do a Dofi combo or whatever, and then we Scarlet into Suleiman, deploying him. That's -4. We play a Kyros, pop 1, put the additional Dawn on the Kyros, or we play our stage there and swing the Kyros into KO something. So we have some play lines early game. These two paired together are pretty solid. And then as we get into the mid game, having one of these on the board the turn before we get a Jack going just enables us to kill anything with a Jack. And that's pretty useful, and Jack is another solid card. It also helps us on the odd curve a little bit, because sometimes playing the Luffy just doesn't clear enough, whereas playing the Jack can clear and helps us fix our hand some, which again has become a reoccurring problem that I've noticed with the deck. The biggest issue has been the fact of just having too many bricks in your hand too often just leads to the point of not being able to cycle into multiple counters and such. And so there's, or sometimes being too many counters and not being able to cycle out of them. Where Aramaki and Kobe are good at getting some of the bricks out of the hand, they struggle in the situation where we have too much counter and not enough actual playable cards. Jack helps kind of fix that a little bit, so we are testing him as a 2 of. I don't want to commit fully to the 4 or do the like 3-4 build that is seen in something like Serena's build. I personally like having a little bit more late game, and with the current meta that I play into at my locals, having more of a late game option is pretty good. Now, having some of the more explosive early game options, Houndblaze helps with that quite a bit to enable us to be able to try to play out a lot of characters, deal with like Lucci board, and start swinging into stuff. And being able to answer the Lucci boards is pretty useful for us. Or just being able to put tempo on them is pretty useful for us. So having a lot more bodies that have like something that happens to be good on attack, on play type of things will be useful. We still have the 4 Orlumbuses, of course, because we need that, but like we have a few more bodies, more so than like Leos and Search or Rebecca's, right? Which was kind of, they're just a little too slow of a game plan. Like the Leos have a good place in the deck with the patchworks and stuff, but with the patchworks we go up to like 23 bricks, or in this case it would be 22 bricks if we slotted them back in over Suleiman's. I don't like that as much, and because of the fact that we're adding in these events that are removal events, we don't necessarily want to be pairing too many removal events with too many reduction events when our leader cannot swing, because we need bodies to be able to swing. So if we're just using a lot of removal events with a reduction events, we can't really do that, so we have to choose one way or the other. So because our bodies are really good at being able to reduce stuff, I'm then using something like Houndblaze to pump our bodies so that we can remove stuff more, and our reduction comes from them. So that's at least the game plan. I was sitting around with a friend kind of going over this. This is kind of a list that I had thrown together a couple of weeks ago. I'd played something similar to this on stream, and I'd had some issues with it on stream. Though, catch me on Sunday. I'll be trying to stream after work, and I'll have a video set up to be released Monday as well, hopefully. I'm not going to promise it, but I'm hoping for that. And thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye, guys.